And here's today's message from the morning man. During the Cold War, a huge wall was built across the middle of the city of Berlin. It was to separate the communist East from the capitalist West. As the animosity started to grow between the two halves of the world, the two halves of the city started to act out the global conflict on a smaller scale. So those who were once neighbors were now enemies, and they took every opportunity to get one up on each other. One day, the people of the East thought it would be funny to fill a truck with garbage and dump it on the West side. The following day, the people of the West filled a truck, hoisted its bed up high over the wall, and dumped its contents on the side of the East. The East Berliners, resigned to the fact that they had been paid back in their own coin, proceeded to clean up the mess, only to find that instead of garbage, their neighbors to the west had revenged by dumping a truckload of provisions, boxes of cheese, milk, biscuits, tinned fish and bread. On top of the great pile of food was a piece of card with 5 words written on it. You give what you have. How true. The West Berliners, with one simple act, had demonstrated the difference between right and wrong, the difference between good and bad. You see, it's easy to think that the people of West Berlin had food and no garbage, while those on the east had just garbage and no food. But of course, that would not be accurate. There was some food on the east side, just not a lot of it, not enough for them to afford to throw some of it free of charge over to their neighbors. In the same way, the West had some garbage, but just not much. Each side gave what they had in excess. Each of us are the same. We both have good and bad in us. A serial killer can love his mother, just as a priest can rape a child. Each of us has a supply of light and dark, but it is what we have in excess that we share with the world. I've always wondered why the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Why didn't they just say, out of the heart, the mouth speaks? Now, if you think about it, Jesus was illustrating the fact that we all have good and bad in us, but not in equal parts. We get to decide which part we wish to have in abundance, and it is only that which we have in abundance that we can then share with our neighbors. This is where our choice lies in all our daily endeavors. The people we interact with, the books we read, the shows we watch, the TV stations we tune into every morning, the thoughts and feelings we harbor about our fellow men and women. These are the things that our minds are filled with. So ask yourself today, is your mind filled with drive or despair? Do you think of hope or hate? Faith or fear? Doom or destiny? Whatever we consume, that we become. There's only a limited storage space within us. So whatever we focus more on, that we shall have in abundance. A couple of verses on in that same chapter 12 of the book of Matthew, Jesus says, a good man brings good things out of the good stored in him. And an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored in him. So my friends, I want us to each ask ourselves, what are we storing up? Like the two halves of Cold War Berlin, there are both provisions and garbage within us, both light and dark. Nobody is all good and nobody is all bad. But what shall we share with our neighbors today? Okay, just one last thing from the Bible and then I'll shut up. Paul said this to the Philippians. He said, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent and praiseworthy, think about such things. After all, you give what you have, right? Well, my name is Kojo Yankson, and I've been storing all the positivity I can find so I can dump it all over your wall this morning. And having said that, good morning, Ghana. Daddy Roro,
yeah.
What are you filled with this morning?
Just good and some of the positivity that we all need to exude for our country. Because sometimes, yesterday I was reading a book about some of our great men of our country who went to school in Harvard, they went to school in Oxford, etc. And I don't know how since independence, we just didn't get it right. While their mates, who usually would get the B's and not get the A's as the Africans would, years later will make their countries good and borrow their monies to us.
Well, they gave out of the abundance of their hearts, right? And that's what's brought us here.
I guess we all take some good from this motivation.
Thank
all right.
you.
So now let's bring you up to speed with the latest news headlines. Myself and Kojo will bring you the latest. Stay with us.